Hello, YouTube. Okay, so I had the opportunity recently to trade an AR-15 that I had not really using much. Only took it out to shoot once. I figured I'd get rid of it, get something else. So I traded someone this Ordnance 1911. They call it the P14-45. I don't know why they don't call it a 1911. It's an awesome gun, but anyway, nice gun, kind of one of those entry-level 1911s. So one of the first things I did is take it apart because I looked at it and it looked like someone had shot 1,000 rounds through it without ever cleaning it. It was horribly dirty. So I took it apart to give it a good cleaning. Naturally, when you take a gun apart, if you're anything like me, you start looking at things that you can replace, things that you can upgrade. So the first candidate was my mag release. This is plastic. Now this is an all-black gun, and I like the contrasty stainless on blued look. So we got a stainless mag release coming. What else do I have? I got a stainless trigger coming, and I'm eventually going to build this out a nice stainless steel. Didn't have a beaver tail on the back here, so I got that on order. That really helps with it biting into your hand. Anyone out there thinking about getting one of the ones that's got the little the back strap safety that curves down into your hand, those things hurt like a bitch to shoot, just so you know. That's the reason I got rid of my other 1911. I traded that thing off just recently. So these with at least the back strap that's turned up a little bit, if not the full beaver tail. And I haven't shot that yet, but I've of course read plenty about it, that it's really very helpful in shooting. It just looks awesome on the gun too. So one of the first things that I did after disassembling this and giving it a good cleaning is the feed ramp on these things. Let me see if I can get that to focus in there. That's a nice shiny feed ramp. Now, and if you're gonna get a gun, a 1911 that's not one of the $1,000 guns, then this is gonna have machine marks on it, and it's gonna look a lot like the machine marks that you see on the side of this. You can just see those little lines. It's been refined a little bit, but not a whole hell of a lot. And that's what the feed ramp looked like. So my first thing was to get that polished up so that it looks just like a mirror on there. And all I did was take some 600 grit sandpaper. I didn't bother wetting it or anything, and I used a AAA battery to wrap the sandpaper around to kind of make sure that it was getting a good round in there on it. Did that with 600 and then followed that up with this stuff, which is awesome. As you can see, I've used most of it. Flitz, great polishing compound in your Dremel. I'm going to do the same thing to this, to this part of the barrel, only going up to here. I mean, the locking lugs, you never see those unless you take it apart. So, but this is another thing that getting that mirror finish on this part right here is going to just make it look that much better. So good bore on it too. It's got a good bore. So that's that, and I figured, since I've got it all apart, and the 1911 is such a good gun and easy to assemble when you know how, I figured I'd go ahead and do a quick how-to on the slide. I haven't gotten my parts yet for the frame, so I'll do a second video on that when I'm done, when I get those parts. But putting these things together is really, really easy. They're just well-built, well-thought-out guns. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your extractor. And of course, you always check out your contact points. Still has a nice bite on that hook. If it can focus in on me. There we go. Still got a nice bite on the hook. And of course, the hook goes in It goes right into this back recess here. And you slide that in until this notch, let me see if I can see that on camera, this notch right here is going to line up with this hole down here. That hole where this plunger goes for your trigger safety. So slide that in until you can see through that hole. Am I doing this right? Yes, I am. There we go. It's just sticking a little bit. And then you can see, not sure if you can see. Let me see if I can get a little light on there. Yeah, it doesn't want to show very well. My camera setup kind of sucks. But you can see once it's in there. At that point, you're going to take your plunger, your trigger safety, and put your spring in there. Hold it sideways so that you can get that in there. It falls right in, and you're going to want to put some downward pressure on it, and then push that the rest of the way in your extractor, and that's going to hold that pin in place, so it's not going to come out anymore. Now after that, you're going to go ahead and you're going to put your firing pin in with the spring. You're going to go ahead and push that in, and in order to get that to go in, you're going to need to depress your plunger. And then that's captive when it's in there to the point where that little recess gets in there. But you still got to do one more thing here, and what that is you want to put pressure on the firing pin and push that plunger down, push it all the way in. Oops, you got to use something that's going to get into that recess a little bit. Push it all the way in, let the plunger up, and it's going to keep that captive. So now you look in there and you can see, maybe if this cooperates with me, you can see the firing pin in there. There it is, and it's in there locked in place right now. So what you can do is you can take your firing pin holder inner thing. I'm really not good with naming all the parts of guns. I need to get better about that, because I've been doing this shit all my life. And you're going to just drop that in. After that's in there, all you got to do, stick a punch in, depress your, oh, excuse me, you don't want to stick a punch in there to release it. What you're going to do is you're going to push down your little trigger safety. Boing, there it is. And that's all set. That is your slide completely put back together. Awesome design they did on this gun. So that's that. Real easy to put together, and the frame is also pretty easy to put together. It's just like a puzzle. You got to know what pieces go together when, and once you've done it once or twice, it's really simple. For storing, when I've got guns apart, I always make sure I get them all oiled up. But one of the things that I've made it a habit of doing is I make sure that I'll keep these little things, these little desiccant packages that you get in electronics. Sometimes they come in these if they're in little pill cases. It's usually like this. Electronics will have little pouches like this, and sometimes they're really big pouches. So keep those, because when you got a gun apart and you know, it's all cleaned up and maybe you're not ready to oil it up yet or something, these are great for putting in these baggies. Sucks the air out. I have a bunch in here just because I'm keeping them in one place so that I know where they're at. I'm going to take them out and store them somewhere else. But as you're taking your guns apart, you put them in little bags and bags inside of bags. Put one of these little suckers inside every one of them, and that just does a good job of keeping the moisture down so that you don't get any little rust spots popping up. Probably not such a problem if you live in the desert, you know, like Southern California, Mojave Desert area. I used to live there. I'm in Wisconsin now. Nice and humid in the summer here, so you know you can easily start seeing little rust spots pop up on any metal that you leave out if you leave it out for a while. So that's one of those little tricks that I thought was a good idea. I'm sure it's not original to me. I didn't get it from YouTube. I just thought, hey, that's probably a good idea, so let me start doing it. But anyway, that's that. I got my slide all together, and when I get my parts, I'm going to go ahead and do a video of putting the rest of the gun together. I know there's tons of them out there, everybody's done them, but you know, I figure I want to get in on that action too, just because there's always, you know, someone else's view or someone else's little extra bit of information that they give that might help someone else out. So just adding this to the fray of all the other people out there that have done YouTube videos for this kind of stuff. And that's it from me, Ninja Midget, signing off.